favorite comedian, Anthony Rogers, live in his tour bus, yeah. But also, you need to get a beard like this. People have been talking. They said your shit looks whack. It looks weird. They can't tell your pronouns. You need to get a beard like this right now. And the only way to do that is by using luxurious bastard beard oil. Great smell, great function, great everything. Just get this. And there's directions on how to use it if you know how to read. But use the link in the description. Go to the website. Use promo code LEGENDARY. Get a discount. Do it. Thank you. Boom.
I'm Dennis with the Anthony Rogers Show podcast. My question for you is, what would you do if you became president to help the working class?
Well, I think the principal thing right now is housing. The price of housing is going up, and it's beyond the reach of most American families.
Along with oil and gas and food.
Inflation is hurting everybody. And inflation is more complex. I can't say that I'm going to stop inflation overnight. What I can say is that I'm going to stop the long-term cause of inflation. I'm going to unravel a war machine. I'm going to reduce dramatically healthcare costs by ending the chronic disease.
Welcome back to the best podcast in the universe. I'm Anthony Rogers, co-host Rainey Highley. How you doing?
Hi, good. How are you?
Good. Today we have an awesome episode. We have like an author, and she had a story I was interested in. I didn't look into this yet because I wanted to she talked about this on Coast to Coast recently, but I didn't listen on purpose, so I wouldn't just repeat the same stuff, and I wanted to have a fresh perspective on it. Her name's Rainey Highley. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Hey, for sure. I appreciate you going back in your career and being on the show. I appreciate it a lot. So to add some context to what I heard, and correct me where I'm wrong. Obviously, I'm not correct me wherever I'm wrong. But so basically, your mom passed away, and then spoke to you after she passed away, basically.
She did. Well, first, let me just say, I am so excited to be on a podcast like this. I appreciate that you're comedy focused, because I think that that's so important to have lightness, especially when it comes to topics like this. But yeah, my mom and I were best friends. And before she passed away, she was given a stage 4 diagnosis and given 5 years to live. And in that time period, I was like, okay, Mom, we need to make a pact. We need to make a pact that when you pass over, you have to promise me, you are not stopping. You're not doing anything. You will come to me immediately and you will tell me everything. And she's like, I promise. Wow. She said this in front of friends and family and witnesses. And I mean, we talked about it on a number of occasions. So it was like a total agreement between us that we made while she was alive. And the day that she passed, she came to me loud and clear. I was taking a shower and I heard her voice say, Rain, Rain, Rain. And she's the only one who calls me Rain. And I was like, gosh, I knew it was her. I fell to my knees and I'm like, okay, she's passed. And she's like, I made it. And so I got out of the shower, dried off, and ended up getting out a pen and paper and writing down everything that she said. And ultimately, that's what ended up in this book, 8 Things to Know About Where We Go. And so it's kind of a representation of our conversations and everything that she told me after she passed.
Wow, that's heavy and crazy. And that's crazy you can even talk about that, to be honest. What were some of the things she told you? If that's without ruining the entire book, obviously we should buy the book. But I'm saying, but
you see why I'm excited to be on your show, because it's such, you know what I mean? It's such a heavy topic, but so much of what my mom said to me after she passed was how important it is to be in a state of joy, to be in a place of humor, to, find laughter, everything. So to me, it just seems like what you're doing is super important. You know what I mean? Having a show, even though it seems light, you're
Well,
you're doing
laughter really is like medicine. There's actually this type of empath called the Heyoki empath, and its whole spiritual purpose is to make people laugh. It's basically Heyoki means sacred clown, and it's like a Native American like term, but basically it's like the clown that like kind of like transmutes the negative energy into funny like humor, you know. So it is. I do believe it is really important. 100%.
exactly. And that's what it's like. I know it's a heavy topic, but at the same time, like everything that my mom came back to tell me was so positive and so
That's awesome.
uplifting. So, you know what I mean? It was like,
Yeah.
okay, at least this message is good. She's in a great place. But for me, like my whole career has been the study or the search for answers. I
Yeah.
wanted to know, like, why are we here? What are we doing? What is this whole thing about? And, each book that I wrote was like a little bit closer and closer to finding that answer. But ultimately, this book with my mom was kind of like, the grand unifying theory. She answered everything. It really like clicked. It made sense. It was a direct
Yeah.
communication. So yeah, I think I totally didn't answer your question. What was your question again?
you're, you're the first person to sidestep it and be self-aware. Well, most authors will just sidestep it completely and come back to it. But no, you're self-aware. I love that. No, but no, I was asking what did she say like when she came back to you? Like what did I without ruining your book, obviously, but and I know we should get the book, and if you're watching this, get the book. But what were some of the things she said basically?
Well, the first thing she said was that death and dying is not at all anything to be scared about. She said the process for her, which I mean, it looked bad from the outside. I'm like, oh, she's
Yeah.
suffering. She said it was not bad at all. It was pleasurable. It wasn't, she was, it looked like she was, really sick and all of this stuff, but she was replaying her life in a lot of ways and doing it over. You know what I mean? She was like living it so that she could have completion when she passed over. So that was the first thing she said. Don't be scared of death and dying. The second thing she said was, here's what happens once you pass. And she gave me 6 steps. She's like, you immediately connect with this light, you're enveloped in this light. And she goes through these steps. You meet family, you go through a life review, and then you decide what you're going to do next. Like you go into your new role. And so, yeah, so she went into detail into those things, but then she also talked about like what's going on here on earth, like why,
Yeah.
because that's my biggest thing. I'm like, what in the heck is going on? I want answers.
Yeah.
And then she also talked about just kind of like what the afterlife is like, daily life in the afterlife. I asked her questions like, what do you do? Like, are we sitting on clouds, with hearts?
Yeah.
She was very, very real about her answers and very clear and real detailed. So it was about, and then she gave some responses and some suggestions on how to live a better life and like what she would have done differently, which is to spend more joy, like we were talking about. Be happy.
Well, so I'm also a medium, and I've never really like asked those specific questions, but like both my grandparents died this last year, and what my grandma told me was that because I was spiritual, she was able to take the role as like one of my like guardian angels or like spirit guides. And that was really cool. And then but something I'm a little that maybe you can answer that I'm curious about is like what's the difference between like can this, because I'll have experiences with spirits that I feel like, okay, how do I phrase this? So you know how like a house is like when there's a haunted house, someone dies in a really traumatic way and their spirit's like stuck there. What's the difference between that kind of ghost and just like a normal spirit that died like in natural, not traumatic ways still coming to visit you? Like, are they on different planes, or like what is really, are they like half in the other world and still half here? Or like, what's the difference, if you have any idea?
You know, my understanding, I'm definitely not an authority on this in any way, but my understanding is the ones that are like stuck in that trauma are not fully in the afterlife yet. Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
okay.
they're
Yeah.
so, because my mom said, like, once you pass over, it's interesting. She said exactly what you said, which is she talked about becoming a guardian angel. And
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, that's the biggest thing that she wanted to do, was come back for
Wow.
me, my brother,
Yeah.
and like watch over us. And it's
Yeah.
a role that you can go into, but what you have to do to make that, she went into this, what you have to do to actually become a guardian angel. And part of it is like having completion with your life, which is why she went through that extensive, like, it seemed like a long dying process, but she was doing preparations to get to where she had clarity and wisdom,
Okay.
able to act in that role. But she said most everybody has a guardian angel, one of their loved ones who's passed on, who wants to be beside them, who's watching over them, and who can, they can't do huge things, but they can help us with little things. And so one thing that she did mention was it's important to say her name. So like when you're talking with your grandparents or whatever, you could, same thing. But I say her whole name, like Lisa Marie Highley, I need your help with, my dog.
Okay.
Or whatever.
Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah.
Saying her name and then asking for help is real important. They can't just, you don't ask for help.
Right. Have you noticed, like, I almost feel like when I've spoken to certain spirits on the other side, that they've become more self-aware after passing away?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's sort of, the way she describes it is like, we come into these earth bodies and we have to erase our memory of everything that we know so that we can participate on this planet. And as soon as we pass, we have this incredible feeling of like tsunami after tsunami after tsunami of memory coming back to us.
Wow. Okay. From all the past lives and stuff, right?
Yeah. And like who we really are,
Right.
And like, oh, everything's amazing. Everything's really good. We've already, all this stuff on earth that we think is really a trouble, like all the things we're working through right now have already been figured out in the afterlife, according to my mother. And we're just here playing it out, seeing if we can come up with easier ways to do things that are better for us all. So yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
No, I believe in that heavy. I remember like before this life, I remember being like whitewashed, like, or whatever the terminology. I don't remember much about past lives. I remember like glimpses of past lives and stuff, but I don't remember like I don't remember fully. And I remember like I definitely remember coming here, and I definitely remember like being like that I would not remember much. So it's weird. I mean, not weird necessarily, but it's interesting when people like see that also, I guess. It's like I didn't realize a lot of people like thought that until I've been on this weird streak where like a lot of people have been that have been coming around me. I've been saying stuff like that and seeing that also. I think it was after I read that that like this book, Journey of Souls. I think I read like have you read that book?
Dolores Cannon is. Oh, you're talking about. Were you saying Dolores Cannon?
Well, Dolores Cannon did that. I think she's one person that did it. I'm not sure she wrote that book though.
Michael Newton wrote Journey of the Soul, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's who it was. Yeah.
So Michael, have you ever heard of or done a life between lives regression?
No, but I'm kind of. I want to. I'm also terrified to do so.
Is it a past life regression?
No, it's called a life between lives regression.
And
yeah.
I just did my first past life regression like last week.
How was it? Was it amazing?
It was intense. So I did a start because my spiritual teacher, like he's like he specializes in working with star seeds. I don't know if you know what. Okay, yeah, I figured you probably would. So
I live in
he was like,
Sedona, so
oh,
I'm
okay, yeah. You look like a starseed, honestly. You give me starseed vibes. But so he was like, we should do a starseed regression before we do your human on Earth regression. Because I was already telling him, like, I feel like I've had way more lives on other planets before coming here. And I'm sure I've had plenty of lives here, but like way more lives out there. And so I've never done any kind of past life regression ever. So I didn't really know what to expect. But yeah, there was a lot of trauma that came up. The first, like, he kind of guided me through it, and like he was asking me like he's like, do you see a craft? And he was like, and I was like, yeah. And he was like, describe the craft to me, and then describe the being in the craft. And like it was like I was astrally connecting with this being or this like star lineage. And basically like the being was like a past soulmate from that lifetime. And then I just started feeling really sad, and I didn't know why. And so we were digging deeper, and basically like it was a planet I lived on that got destroyed. And so like the trauma was like the entire planet like being demolished basically. And I was like, holy shit, I was not expecting that.
oh,
So it was really heavy. It was super heavy. I was like crying. Like I felt so incredibly sad, but like part of me also had no idea why I was that sad. Like it's a weird thing to try to explain, because it's like my soul knew why I was sad, but like this version of me
right.
couldn't really understand why. And then the deeper we dug, like he was like, can you see the planet? And I was like, no, I can't. And I thought maybe it was just because like I was having a hard time visualizing it. And he was like, I think it's because it's not there anymore. And then I just started crying. And I was like, God, I don't know why I'm so emotional. Like, what the fuck? Like, it was a trip. I wasn't expecting that. And then, yeah, the second little world we went to was on Sirius. It was like Sirius B. It was one of the water worlds. And I was like a sea person living under the ocean, and I could see like all these like colonies like carved out of this mountain, like in underneath the water, like in the ocean, and like how all the animals and plants like and like beings would communicate like telepathically. And everything was like so like connected and in sync, and like they all worked together. It was like very I don't know, definitely not third dimensional, that's for sure. Like everyone's like intuition and consciousness was super super high. Like you could just tell it was, yeah.
Like this Earth experience is definitely our most antiquated or low vibration or something.
So the densest.
Yes, exactly.
I'm like,
And
dentist? What the fuck am I saying?
what you were talking about with having that memory, it's like a memory, but you don't have the memory. What I call it is a soul memory.
Yeah.
Like, it's a
It's
soul.
like you feel it. It's like intuition. It's like, but you don't know why you know.
Right.
It's like, yeah.
Well, what Michael Newton talked about in the Life Between Lives is he started doing past life regressions with all these people and keeping track of it. And what he found out,
right. Okay, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
was that everyone was going to like the same place, and he was calling it this life between lives. He's like, everyone's kind of going back to the same place. So he started teaching people how to do regressions that take you to that place, so that you can go between lives or to the place where you go back to prepare for your next life. And
interesting.
I actually did one of those, years ago in Boston with one of his trainees, and it was like a 4-hour regression. It took forever, but it was crazy. I mean, we went back to this place where we were just light, and I was helping like with other light beings birth new souls. It was,
oh wow,
it was cool. Yeah, there were really amazing things happening. So if you get a chance, I definitely recommend doing regression.
Life between lives. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah.
so many lives. It's like,
I
fuck.
know, right?
So hard to keep. I'm like, I can't keep track of anyone's name, let alone like the lives that are in between the other lives. Fuck. Like,
I know. And then we have to forget it. We get our memories erased before we come back.
right.
So thanks. Thanks for that.
Oh,
No,
damn.
yeah, I remember the memory being wiped and stuff like. But no, when I read that book, or more accurately, when I listened to it in an audiobook, because I'm stupid. I basically I remember like connecting to it and like knowing it was real. Like I remember like just like my soul knew that was real. Like whenever I listened to the entire book and like I was just
Yeah.
like, that's definitely real. I felt that, and I remembered certain things. I was like, and then I found like I remember being like isolated, my soul being like trapped in like a sphere for a while, and I realized that was like a pun. I read later like 3 days ago that was like a punishment or something for like being like evil or something. I'm not like like I was like I remember being punished, and then I remember being like told this is like my last time to do something. And like I don't know, I remember all that like stuff. So I'm like I don't know, which is weird. I don't know, and like I'm not
The
really.
last time we're gonna tell you, or you gotta go back in the corner. Damn it.
Yeah,
Fuck.
that's how it feels.
Fuck you. I do
And
what
I
I
don't know,
want.
it's kind of terrifying actually to be like created to be punished. You know, that's how I feel. It's like I was like created just to be punished or something. You know, I mean that's like basically what it feels like. It's like okay, I created you, but then like you didn't do things I liked, so like now you're punished. It's like kind of this weird never-ending cycle that kind of like I don't know. And I'm not saying I want it to end or anything, but I'm saying it's weird. It's like if I just like you know what I mean. It's just like if I just gave I don't know. It's kind of weird to create me just to punish me. You know, I feel like.
You know,
Well, maybe it's to help you evolve and grow.
that's true. Could be.
Yeah, probably.
Well,
No,
that's what I was asking my mom about. I'm like, it's really hard here on Earth. Like it's hard. What's going on?
Yeah.
And can we stop this, please? You know, like can we go home? And and she was,
Yeah.
you know, she was really clear that like everything that we're doing here is for, I know we hear this a lot, but it's for a really important purpose. Like all of that, like us going into this earth experience and playing out these different life experiences that are hard.
Yeah.
It's kind of like us in a way working through problems so that in the afterlife we don't have suffering. Like we're
Mm.
and the way she talks about us, people who come to Earth, you know, we're like Navy SEALs. We're like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like we're badasses. They're like, wow, I don't know why or how you can do that. You know, they look at us and they tune in and they're like, what's going on Earth? And
Yeah.
you know, it's like, and that's why when I get to complaining about I'm like, it's so hard. You know, she's like,
Yeah.
that's like a Navy SEAL coming back and saying, oh, the food was terrible, you know, on my last mission or something. No, it's like, remember who you are, you know,
Yeah.
man up, get tough here.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
My mom's been sick for about 4 years, so I kind of relate to a lot of what you probably experienced outside of like losing my. I haven't. My mom's still here, and like I mean, and like I pray she stays, you know. But I'm saying like no, so I can relate to a lot of it. It's more like having 1,000 goodbyes, you know. It's kind of what it feels like. But no, it's like I relate to a lot of that, and I think that like that's crazy. And I think my mom would be kind of the kind of person to come tell me everything's okay, kind of too, and like
Oh.
I see a certain kind of like wisdom to her, like in me. Like my mom was like very like kind of like a very fast and mean kind of person. I mean, not I don't want to define her as that, but she was very just fast and alpha and stuff like that. And I kind of see her
Yeah.
just like asking for help a lot more like than she wants to, and like and like I think that's humbling. And I think that like I think that also she's like she became very like kind and very like and very just like evolved mentally. It seems like during this time too. Like I see it happening. I see like her just like growing to like she called me yesterday and just told me she's been like reading the Bible and stuff and like just a lot of stuff. I've been kind of like harping on her. Honestly, I'm Christian, so I'm completely pushing my beliefs off of my mom. But I'm just saying like I like to be honest. But I believe in stuff.
What else
I
do
think
you do? Shit.
fair. But no, I just think
Sorry.
she called me and told me that she's like doing a bunch of like different stuff, and I just see how she's evolving and stuff, and like
Yeah.
and I wonder how many wives she's been here too. You know, I almost think that too, and then I heard that like it's funny because I heard that like part of the punish. I was seeing like I was reading somebody else talk about past lives, and like and they described that isolation thing I was in, and like for the first time I
really?
found yeah, I've been asking people for months about it. I've been asking people for months about it.
Yeah, you have. He's
And
been
they-
asking so many people. No one's heard of it. What he's describing. No one
Yeah,
has
and
heard of
I
it.
found somebody that did, and I was hearing about it, and it's funny is a lot of people that have those punishments end up being a caretaker for the people that they screwed over in a past life. So I almost wonder if my mom was like a
Oh
person
my God.
that
Uh,
I was almost like wondering if my mom was like a
Mind
soul
blown.
that I did something to in another life or something, and I don't know,
Wow.
it's weird, and I heard that and it kind of clicked. I don't know if it's real, but I heard it and it kind of clicked. And
Be
I'm
the
like,
most like satisfying justice ever, bro. That's like I couldn't even come up with some shit like that. Like,
yeah, it was weird. I heard
that's
somebody talk
wild.
about it. I just been studying it nonstop, like just the
That's
multiple
wild. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was weird to see that, and like they defined like that was, and I remember that being a part of my test when I chose this life. Like it was weird. Like I picked between like 7 lives, like a video game or something, and then like and all times happening at once. I feel like out of this body. Like I remember
Yeah.
seeing that,
No, definitely.
yeah.
and like
I think we're in the only dimension where time is actually perceived as being linear, and all the other dimensions, it's like happening all at the same time. You just have to like be able to tune into those specific times, or honestly, I don't really know how it works, but
I don't either. I just have a lot
definitely
of
not.
opinions.
Well, I mean, but you're definitely having some cool experiences, both of you, you know?
For sure.
What my mom says is like, when you end this, when your life is over and you immediately look back at your life, you know, like she said, for example, someone who commits suicide immediately wants to go back and do it again. And it's like, no, I've got to go back. Put me in another body. I'll do it again. I've got to finish it differently. So that to me, I mean, not to jump into suicide, but is a big deterrent for suicide because you're wanting to escape and yet you know you're going to come right back in. So I was like, oh, okay. So for someone who's like Hitler, you know, or someone who lived a horrible life, you know, they do something like you were talking about, and just, okay, I'm going to go back in a really hard situation and I'm going to caretake the people, you know, that I was mean to or whatever. I mean, you come back and you create your own karma. You choose it. And she talks about like almost like an AI matching program that matches souls to lives and it's like probably what you were doing. Okay, here are the 7 ones that I could choose from. You know, which one am I going to pick? And we self-punish. We're the ones who choose to come back. As that to me is like, it blows my mind.
Wow.
I'm thinking, you know, I can't imagine like, oh yeah, I want to come back after all of this.
Like it's like a roller coaster. Yeah, let's do that again. Like,
totally. This is where the action's at, you know? And, you know, there's amazing saint-like people in this world. Like, do you know Dr. Emoto? He's passed.
Yeah, with the water scientist guy.
I was just talking to a friend who had interviewed him and said in an interview, he said, I would come back over and over and over and over as many times as I need if it will help, you know, humanity or the good of all. And I think that just makes me feel so selfish. I'm like, he's such a saint. You know, I'm like, get me out of here. You know, Mom, when is this going to end?
Every time I see a UFO, I'm like, hey, it's for me. Let's go. Beam me up. I'm done. I'm ready.
We have a question in the comments for Rainey. It says, Rainey, I lost a dear friend 6 months ago from alcoholism. I'm still having nightmares. What should I do? Like, do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, you know, one thing to do is I would try to communicate with that person, you know, and try to get out of that, because your mind's going to take you to a real negative place. And that's probably what's causing the nightmares. You know what I mean? Like, I think it's important to, my mom says, just like write out the person's name. You know, I put Lisa Marie.
Yeah, like writing a letter is really powerful, and then reading it out loud. I've done that a couple times.
And having something of theirs, you know, jewelry or whatever, and having the intention to say like, I'm like, Mom, I just, you know, I need to talk to you. I mean, she tells me that you can say a person's name, like, for example, Dr. Emoto, he's passed. You know, you could say his name, like,
Yeah.
Dr. Masaru Emoto, could you help me, you know, understand water better? Or, you know,
Yeah.
whatever it is, you know, come in and they can help in your life if you ask. So I'm
Yeah.
just, for Randy, who's, you know, asking this question, not only could you ask your friend, but, you know, you could call on either a loved one, or, you know, if you're religious, you could call on, you know, a religious figure, but somebody who, you know, is on the other side that you want help from, and just say, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
for
connect
sure.
with my friend that passed, and I really want to know if they're okay. Could they give me a sign? I think starting that communication, and knowing also, just when you see someone die from alcoholism, or from anything, it can be
Yeah.
really traumatic to watch and to witness. And
Yeah. Yeah.
we have our interpretation of what's going on. And I mean, I had a big story for what was happening with my mom, because it looked bad. But boy, she says it wasn't bad at all. So you've got to release that feeling of, oh my God, this friend of, you know, who passed from alcoholism died so horribly. You've got to let that go, because
Yeah.
they are in a place, my mom says they are in a place of joy, happiness, complete relief from all of that suffering. And there's nothing to be sad about. They're sad for us, you know, they're
Yeah. Right.
watching
Right.
us, and they're thinking, oh my gosh, I wish we could help them more. I wish we could intervene. I wish they would say my name and ask for help. You know what I mean? So we just
Yeah.
need to remember to do that, because it can, I mean, this isn't something that I've talked about publicly, but my mom has helped me since she's passed with so many things. Like, she's literally saved my dog. I have two little Pekingese,
Oh,
Piper and Penelope, and she has literally saved Piper from like the brink of death and brought him back.
wow.
Like, she's doing amazing things. So I know that you can definitely get help. Your
Yeah, for
guardian angels
sure.
want to help you. So
You
thank you, Andy.
you should try working with archangels too. Like I love working with archangels, because I know that it's like coming, like it's a higher, like,
Yeah.
light being.
Yeah.
Um but I was also going to tell, what was his name, Randy, right? I was also going to say that you know, well, two things. Like, I think that dealing with the trauma of the death is really a huge important thing you need to do, because if you're just stuffing it down, like, it will come out in your subconscious, which is possibly why you're having nightmares. B, like, sitting and dwelling in the negativity can actually leave you susceptible to getting like negative entity attachment, which you can also get from trauma. So that's also something to be aware of, because uh when you have a negative entity attachment, you can get nightmares and have like panic attacks, like way more than than you would without it. So that's something else to maybe be aware of. And yeah, I guess that's all I had.
No, that's a good reminder. It's just because that's the hardest thing when someone passes, is pulling yourself out of that low vibrational
Mhm.
energy of grief.
Right.
It's challenging. And if you can't get out of it, you're never going to raise your vibration high enough to have that communication that you want with the
Right,
archangel,
because
your
your
loved.
third eye going to be closed, the lower your vibration is at, for sure.
Right. So it's like, you know, you tell someone, cheer up, you know, in this hard time. I know it's difficult,
Tell
but
me it was that easy.
yeah, I know it's
Fuck, dude.
easier said than done.
Depression's a son of a bitch. I mean, I've struggled with depression my whole life. It wasn't until recently I started taking like because I was just so anti-pharma, you know,
Yeah.
and like, but when I recovered from drugs, like, I needed something because my brain chemistry was just fucked. Like, couldn't get out of bed, you know? But yeah, I've been taking antidepressant meds and it's made a huge difference. I'm like, well, I actually want to like shower and like make myself food. Like, this is crazy. It's
My
wild.
mom says that every single person on this planet is suffering from some sort of mental illness, whether it's
That
depression,
I believe
anxiety.
that 100%.
Yeah. So it's
I do.
nothing to be ashamed of. It's, it's something to be able to take care of your happiness. I mean, I think anybody who's aware of what's out there beyond the physical has got to be dealing with depression. How can you not?
Yeah, 100%. Well, just going through a spiritual awakening is like the dark night of the soul. Like that is like the epitome of loneliness and depression, because it's like you start to receive all this information of like what's actually happening in your reality. And it makes you feel like, fuck, no one else really can see this. It's like you're seeing like in the Wizard of Oz when they pull the curtain and everyone else is like, oh my God, this is crazy. This thing is like a real thing. And then like the 1% of the people are like, that's just a dude behind a fucking curtain, right? Like
exactly, right?
like, fuck, what the fuck?
That's great.
Yeah.
I feel like
that's the best way to describe it, but it's more complicated than that, but that's a general analogy.
Absolutely. And Randy feels her says, I feel her in my room. Is that the loved one who's first, or my mom? Because that's one thing I just want to say is that my mom has said, as a guardian angel, she can help people who call on her. So if someone's like, I don't know anyone to call on, just call on my mom. Just say her name, Marie Highley, and she'll, she helps with obviously high vibrational requests, nothing low vibrational, but she's, she's there to help people feel better and understand what's going on and to help connect them to their loved ones.
That's awesome.
Readers, come to me and say that, wow, I've been working with your mom and she's doing great things. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, I like to say, like, probably a very important aspect of like the grieving process is actually feeling it, not pushing it off and delaying it. So I think I think a large part of mine was that just like I had to like and like I probably will do again, but like I was having to like feed my mom and couldn't like move her arms and stuff like that, and like I would smoke like weed before that, so I didn't have to think about that, and like I wouldn't just be like crying while I'm feeding her. You know what I mean? I just didn't want to like bring her down. So I feel like she's already like dealing with like enough stuff, So I'm just like trying to. I'd like smoke a joint, feed her, smoke another joint, eat food, smoke another. I would just keep doing it all day, and I'd be like just chain smoking weed, and I was delaying it to where I'd just yell at people when I came down. I would just be like, I would just because
it comes out one way or the other.
Yeah, I would just like yell at people that probably didn't deserve as much as I was yelling, but still were kind of fucking retarded as well. I mean, they're like doing something like that was ridiculous, but I was still just like I was overreacting, is what I'm trying to say, and like a better terminology. But I think that like no, I think like feeling it and dealing with it's a lot better. I think I've been like working out more and like just doing a bunch of stuff like that. Rather, I've been compensating in healthy ways instead of like polluting my lungs and mind and lowering my vibration. I think
it's important, because just
we're back. Okay,
we're back. Well, I mean, I think you have to do what you have to do to get through some of the trauma. You know what I mean? And there's no guilt, there's no shame in any of it. It's just how do we cope and try to, keep our vibration as high as possible so that we can be in joy, be in a happy place, and, fulfill what we came here to do. And it's hard when we're dealing with mental illness, mental struggles, which everyone is. It's hard to do all these other things that we're supposed to be doing, to
like
live
pay
life.
rent and shit.
Yeah.
the Matrix bullshit where you're like, really? Like, you're like, nothing is real. Like, I have to fucking pay rent. Like, this doesn't even make sense to me.
I'm like, oh, bills, this is ridiculous. Totally. I'm like, I feel you so much on that. You have no idea.
Like, how am I supposed to do anything once you like realize like it's just all like ones and zeros, it really is just like
totally
not. I question like what people are real sometimes, because sometimes I feel like there are just like like the non-player characters in the video game. Yeah, and like I'll have weird interactions with certain people. I'm like, I don't even think that was a fucking person. It looked like a person, but it didn't have a soul. I mean, not in an evil way, but like just like in a no depth, like, are you there? Like, what is going on? Like, it's so fucking weird.
I totally think there's NPCs, you know? I'm like,
There's
oh,
gotta be. There's
yeah.
gotta be. I
Have
don't
you
know.
seen that movie Bliss? It's with Salma Hayek and Owen Wilson.
Bliss.
I've not.
I
Okay,
don't think so.
a random, like, not gonna win awards kind of movie, but it has a real cool, like, idea of how the afterlife is, or whatever you want to call it. Basically,
Yeah.
you're living in a simulation, and it's,
Yeah.
you know, Salma Hayek's waking Owen Wilson up to this, and he doesn't believe her. And they're living lives where he's got a job. He works in a cubicle, really, you know, boring work. She's homeless. And she's like, okay, if you do this, you take these little things, you can see what the afterlife is like, where we're really from. And so they do that, and they wake up in this gorgeous, like, it almost looks like, you know, Greece or something, by the water with blue water, and, you know, everyone's happy and it's sunny, and they're both doctors and they're dressed really nice, and they have this gorgeous house by the water and everything's perfect. And he's like, you know, she's like, this is reality. This is who you are. This is where you're from. And so they spend quite a bit of time in this reality, which is cool because no movies have a good, like, other reality, it seems. You know, they're always like
Yeah.
dark
Oh
and
yeah, because they usually come back to some apocalyptic fucking
oh,
like every time. You're like, oh shit.
I know, totally. So
That's
this
kind of
one's
fun.
like, it's nice, it's happy, and, you know, she's like, this is having the effect of, like, anyone who goes in the simulation, like, comes out super appreciative to be here, like, really glad to be here. And I thought, you know, and so they go back and forth, but it was like, okay, you should watch it just to see, like, the
Wow.
positive, like, world that they live in, because it's like, wow, it could be like this times a million. It could, you know, even
Wow.
as amazing as their world is, like, and in their world, like, not to go too far off on this, but 3 things, like, changed everything, where no one has to worry about money anymore. They figured out some biology, so no one gets sick or deteriorates. They all
Yeah.
stay healthy and young. And I think one of it was asteroid mining. Whoever asteroid mine made so much money that they were able to give 500,000 a year to every person on the planet. So
Oh
no one
wow.
had to worry about money again. So,
Right,
like,
right.
things happened that turned their world into a utopia. And
Yeah.
as I know, whenever you think about, like, utopia seems so far away, like, it's so beyond, so not close to what where we are. It's like, you know, there's just a few things that need to happen for us to be there. Like, we're just
Yeah.
one breakthrough away from not having to deal with sickness and mental health issues and all this crap. You know, we're just like
Yeah.
one person discovering something away from being healthy, happy human beings who probably can survive on light. You know, it's like
Yeah. Well, I
future.
think that's what's going to happen when we start ascending into the higher dimensions is that everyone will become more empathic and more in tune with each other to the point where they won't be able to just fuck each other over and fucking kill each other for fucking stupid shit because their consciousness will have elevated to the point where they can't. It'll be so empathic that it will hurt them to hurt someone else. I mean, that's how it feels when I hurt. Like it literally hurts me to see, like on a physical level, to see other people in pain. That shit fucks me up. And I feel like people are gonna get to that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's what the whole Age of Aquarius is really about, is just us awakening to the whole, just we're in a fucking simulation, and not that it's a good or bad thing, but like taking the power back and understanding that like we can actually create our own reality and it's not just happening to us. It completely shifts like how we like operate in this dimension, you know?
Absolutely. I mean, it's just like, just thinking about, uh, you know, just how I just feel like we're so close. You know, it's before this book with my mom, the afterlife or whatever you want to call it, seemed really far away. It was like, why
Yeah,
is it so distant? You know, when are we going to get there? And like, how what's utopia? Like, is that real? You know, we're
yeah,
so, and it's, my mom said, like, just like tangible things about the afterlife. Like, one thing about the afterlife, she said, was there's no physical harm. Like, everyone is safe. Like, so to show me what she was talking about, she's like, imagine like a protective bubble around everybody that nobody can enter, like, so you never have to worry about anybody harming you. And the only people you interact with are people you choose to interact with. You can enter their bubble or whatever. But, that changes everything. I mean, because that's such a big problem on this planet, harming others. And, think about that. Like, wow, if we had safety. So it's the way she talks about it. It's like, if you can really think about the evolution and like see into the future, you could see how one day in the far future, and I'm using linear time, even though there is no time, but we're actually going to be at that place where we're evolved and we are empathetic and we can communicate telepathically. Like, that's our normal skill. That's how animals are, they know that.
Yeah, totally.
And it's like, we need to get back to that. We need to get back to that. But I guess here it seems like it's something we need to go into the future and do. You know what I mean? It seems far in the future. But I think what is most exciting for me is it's tangible. These are like, I don't know, for me, all the other books and things that I read about that, what happens when we die, what's going on, they just weren't as tangible. It's like, okay, I get that, that's cool. But I just didn't have that same sort of feeling like, okay, this is something that is literally right there. You could touch it. So it just feels much more accessible.
That's awesome. I have to go pee. I'll be back. I don't know why I had to announce that, but.
So, this all started happening to you? Like, did you have thoughts like this before or prior to your mom being sick, or was this like a thing that just happened like day of kind of thing?
No, I mean, this has been like my whole life. Literally, my first book that I wrote, it came out in 2010. It took me, I mean, that was, my sort of exploration into what's out there, We'll read Randy's there. Do you want me to respond to Randy?
Yeah, feel free. The viewers are more important, I think.
Okay, Randy, I escaped to music, but now all artists are writing about death. For instance, at Falling in Reverse. I think music, that's one thing my mom says about the afterlife, is she says there's beautiful, amazing music everywhere, like just in the air, and that people sing, like singing is something that they really enjoy doing. Like, people get together and sing and can have, everyone's got beautiful voices. And so like music is something that's just a moment by moment experience in the afterlife. Whereas here we're like, oh, I need to go turn on music. Like, so listening to music is one of the best things that you can do, especially singing to music. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but you think about Dr. Emoto. I mean, he was someone who I really looked up to. And I went to a seminar that he had in Sedona. And one thing that he did is he had everyone sing songs together, like the Beatles and You Let It Be and stuff like that. And it was just like, when he was showing us these images that weren't just pictures of water crystals, but video of them. And the water crystals were moving, making different shapes and forms to the music. The water dances to music. So when you're singing, the water in you is actually dancing to the song. And that changes your vibration. And it changes, it changes, how it changes how you feel. It changes the experiences that you're able to have. It affects your ability to communicate with past loved ones. So music
Oh, I didn't know that.
is so important. Like my mom is like, if there's one thing you can do to be healthy is to sing out loud every day.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
wild.
Yeah. So I don't know how we just got on that tangent, but oh, it's the question.
That's really cool though. No, because you were talking about the music being in the afterlife all the time. It's just constantly playing.
Oh, I
Right.
love Shinedown. I think that's kind of a band that I like.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
I had their bass player on here before. I
Yeah.
had Shinedown on
Oh,
before.
cool.
They're a good band. I have a lot of good bands on here.
Yeah, you really do.
Like I don't know, but no, do what? I'm sorry.
Well, it's because music is so important. It's really like it's our connection to our soul. It's like our connection to our soul. The language of our soul.
Yeah. No, I think
Yeah.
so. I think it's definitely important. It's just how it's. I mean, you can use it as a weapon or a healing thing. It's like I mean, vibration is such a weird thing. I mean, you could heal with vibration or you could punish with vibration. It's really weird how. I mean, right now, I mean, basically, music. I feel like popular music right now is just used to sell pharmaceuticals and get people to go to jail in the privatized prisons, basically. That's
Yeah,
basically
definitely a bunch of subliminal
Totally.
messages and frequencies encoded in our
or a
music
guy
right
like Bob
now. For
Marley.
sure.
As much as I used to make fun of Bob Marley a lot. I never really understood him. But then I recently I started listening to his music and understanding that like his frequencies are like healing frequencies better, and that they're like better and higher frequencies. I was probably more lower vibration when I just saw him as an underproduced like pop band that like record labels exploited to make money. I never really saw him as an artist. I was just kind of like, this guy's an idiot, just like famous, and everybody just exploited him and then killed him. I mean, which is probably accurate also, but it doesn't. But I think he did do a lot of experiments with music and stuff. It was pretty cool.
Well, it's crazy because a lot of people that experimented with the frequencies and in what you're talking about, like, passed away.
Yeah. Like I mean, Kanye experimented with a lot too, and then he came back with like bigger shoulders and a different face. So I mean, he looks like a different. He looks like a completely different person. Like he's replaced, honestly. Like in my opinion.
Really?
I mean, to me,
I mean, that wouldn't surprise me either at this point.
I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, but he was like, and Randy was there for the Brad Stewart episode. That's what I was talking about. Was Brad Stewart? Like he was the original and founding bass player of Shinedown. That was a cool episode. But no, I not to go down this like conspiracy theory rabbit hole kind of BS thing, but I do believe that after Kanye's rants, he like went missing for a while, and then he came back like different looking. Like after he went off on like whatever people and stuff, like he went off on a lot of people, but he was like seeing a lot of industry stuff that and then he comes back, and now he always wears a face mask. And like when he doesn't, he just looks dead behind his eyes, and his face is a different shape, and his shoulders are up here now. It's like weird. Like it looks like a guy who's like slightly different looking than Kanye, like playing Kanye.
Maybe he's a clone. Maybe he's a clone.
I mean, it could be, but I mean, I wouldn't rule it out. I mean, definitely, I think they definitely clone things for organs, and I mean, if they cloned a sheep in 1996 publicly, who knows how long they've been cloning things, you know? So
yeah,
it's
exactly.
So, like, but I do think that like I mean, it could just be an actor that looks like him. It could be a guy wearing a mask. I mean, it could be anything really at this point. I just think that they get rid of anybody that doesn't repeat the narrative, more or less, is the point of what I'm saying. I think they like pretty much like if you're not preaching the narrative that they want to push, like this insane thing or whatever, they just kind of get rid of you. And it's weird because like famous people are kind of rebellious, you know, like anybody with any kind of fame or like these people you couldn't tell what to do. So then they like almost get to a point where they fly too close to the sun, and they're like, "Hey, people, you can't tell what to do. I'm trying to tell you what to do." And they're like, I mean, it's just like you get rewarded for a while not listening to people, and then eventually you get punished for it. It's like that's what the American structure of fame seems like. It seems like you're rewarded in your youth, and you're rewarded, or in the beginning you're rewarded. It doesn't matter when you do it, but you're rewarded in the beginning and then punished afterwards. And people will just, I mean, you could just die. Nobody even like thinks anything of it. They're like, "Oh, it must have been drugs. Just another celebrity dying of drugs." Whatever. You know? They don't even question it or think it. I mean, look how many celebrities just die all the time. And
especially if the cops are in on it. Especially if like the government or the cops are in on it, then it's like
Tupac and shit. Like, I mean, publicly, you know. But I mean, just I mean, even like Anne Heche. The other day, Anne Heche, I looked up, died in like a car wreck in 2022. But the police overhead footage showed her like trying to get up out of the hospital bed she was in when they were pulling her to the ambulance, and it makes me just like, I bet a lot of these people are just murdered. I mean, because like I mean, just to keep like whatever stories quiet. Or I mean, there's a lot of evil going on. I mean, I think it's contextually speaking, it's probably agenda to agenda. It's not like the same thing. Sometimes maybe it is. I mean, I don't know how we got off on this, but I really just feel like it's probably like I I don't know. You probably just want to fake your death when you get too famous, you know?
That's probably what Elvis did.
Well, I would love for you to have an episode on whether Kanye West is a clone, because
Oh, that's a good idea.
right? I think there's a strong.
Do we have a Kanye lookalike come in and pretend to be Kanye?
Well, he'll just do shows like this. He'll just be like, "Yeah, I'm Kanye. I'm doing this," and I'm like, how uncreative of a, like, how do people think that's Kanye West? It doesn't make sense. Like, you never underestimate the retardation of other people. Like, you know, it's just like, there's a guy literally wearing a face mask with no holes, like doing concerts, and like, well, they weren't hard to trick, were they? You know, it's like, it's just like, so it's just so crazy. But I mean, I'm not acting like I know the answer. I'm not acting like he was 100% clone, but he at least is a different person. I could tell. It is a different person. I could definitely tell the difference. Just by looking.
Looks totally different.
Same with like, yeah, I'd argue.
I'll have to see a picture. I'll have to see a picture of him. I haven't seen it.
Well, I could probably put him. I'd also argue Eminem. Eminem was like a really funny, clever guy, and now he's just kind of like a weird Pee Wee Herman guy. He's just like, you know what I mean? He's just like kind of like
he doesn't say anything.
Yeah, he just like stands there and he's like he was rooting for the Detroit Lions. I'm like Eminem rooting for a sports team did not make sense to me. It just didn't even make sense to me, like, at all. He's just standing there like, yeah, go Lions. Yeah, like his handlers around him and stuff. But like, and then he goes off on the president and stuff. And I'm like, I couldn't imagine Eminem caring about politics. And if he did, he'd make fun of both sides. I feel like just the kind of guy. Like 98 Eminem was like very clever and entertaining, and now he's just like kind of like, I don't know, just like weird. And I couldn't imagine him doing a song with Rihanna either. That was weird. I'm like, this guy made fun of all these pop stars in his youth and stuff like that. Now he's doing songs with Rihanna.
Right. So loud.
Weird.
Or is it a different person? You know, it's weird.
Yeah.
I couldn't. I mean, people do change and grow. I get that too. I mean,
yeah.
But I mean, the Elvis argument too. Like you said, you brought up like Elvis faking his death. That's one that I think is for sure, because I mean, I think he was a Vegas lounge act around the time that the mob lost Vegas and the government moved in.
Oh,
and so he would have like I think he was like wired, and all the gangsters would like brag to him like, "Hey Elvis, I killed like 17 people. Ha ha, I'm about to do this." You know, they would try to impress like a famous person, basically, just by like describing all the crimes to him. And he was a federal agent with badges. I mean, he had pictures with Nixon. He you know, he had like a lot of he had a lot. They said it was like just a ritual badge or something, and just like a symbolic thing. But I mean, he was an agent. Yeah, I mean, he had the badges, he had the clearance. I just think like another one, Jim Morrison. Jim Morrison's dad was the highest ranking admiral during the Vietnam War. And he was like facing a bunch of like weird charges, and his grave's not the right size. Like Jim Morrison was taller than his grave is, which is weird.
That is weird.
Wow.
He's probably dead now, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, he was born, you know, he was born in the 40s or something, so he's probably dead or old now. But I mean, it's just weird. I mean, there's so many. I don't know how we got off, and this totally has nothing to do with the afterlife at all. But I do think a lot of celebrities. I mean, so Paul Walker died. I mean, you can literally go through a list. Everybody's dying. Like every celebrity's just dying. They're killing everybody, the fan base almost even. It's weird.
It is weird. They're dropping like flies.
Yeah, I only feel safe in Missouri, to be honest, man. I don't feel safe in LA or any of those places, man. Like I would never go to California, to be honest with you. I would just never even. I had a show there and I dropped it. I'm just like, I don't even want to do this. Like, they like check you for apples at the border and stuff. I'm like, you guys are fucking nuts. I mean, it's just like in your car, do you have any apples or oranges? I'm like, get the fuck out of here. Like, this isn't. You have the border wall to ask me for apples and oranges. Like, I don't believe you. I don't fucking believe you. This is a weird trick. I'm getting the fuck out of here. Like, it's like I would never. You could literally offer me like $100 billion and I still wouldn't go to California. I just don't even. Like and I'm not being like funny or anything. I just really don't trust California as a state, or New York. To be honest, I don't trust either of them. And it's hard to get me out of Missouri.
I don't blame you.
It's hard to get me out of Missouri, to be honest. I don't trust a lot of these places, man. And like especially a place like LA. I mean, if you get too famous, I mean, they have the cops, they have the firefighters. I mean, they have everybody, man. They have everybody on the payroll, man. It's all these like wannabe famous people, so they'll do anything for the actual thing. You know what I mean? And they'll do anything for money, man. People do anything for money. It's like crazy. It's like money's their god or something.
Well, I lived in LA too, so for a while. I mean, I finally got out in 2018, but it was, you know, it's crazy. I mean, not to mention that it takes like 30 minutes to drive down the street.
Yeah.
Literally down the street.
Any time of the day.
Yeah, any time of day. So I love Arizona. I love Sedona. I'm glad to be away from the craziness. Although we have our own level of craziness, we're our own Venice Beach in some ways, here in Sedona. But
Well, everywhere has its problems. I mean, St. Louis is like the murder capital of the United States. I mean, that's where I'm at. I mean, it has problems. I mean, but it's just like I'd rather die here than live anywhere else. It's that's like about how I feel. It's like but here's the thing: you have to be a real. And I don't want to say this should be anything. You have to be a real dumbass to get shot here. I mean, you really have to be a dumbass. You can't just be like being a good person.
At that point, you're just too dumb to live. You're just too dumb to live. You didn't make the cut, bro. You just didn't make it. Like,
yeah, it could be like my ironic death. Like I'm calling somebody dumb, somebody comes to my bus and shoots me right now. But I'm saying, it could be my ironic moment. But I just feel like you have to be like involved in like crime or kind of an idiot to get shot. I feel like as if and maybe that's kind of insensitive, but I feel that way.
It's not wrong.
I mean, Albert Einstein's not getting shot. It's not. It wasn't the guy. He's not like Neil Tyson deGrasse's not like getting shot. These people, the brilliant people, aren't getting shot.
Yeah.
Other than maybe like a Kennedy or something. That's an example, or like an Abe Lincoln or something. There's certain outliers, but most brilliant people aren't getting shot.
Well, it's crazy. I lived in Australia for like a year and a half, and on the TV there, every time they showed anything about the United States, it was like showing like it was inner city Detroit, people with guns, like yelling in the street, burning, and so that's all you saw of the United States. And everyone was like, oh my God, do you have a gun? Like, do you carry your gun with you? And it makes me laugh because it's like,
that's hilarious.
Yeah.
The propaganda.
Total propaganda.
I mean, that's what we're getting. We're getting all the fucking bullshit from everything. We don't know what the fuck is like. It's like when I don't know if probably you guys have watched reality TV shows, right? It's funny because I was on a few, and the biggest thing I noticed is that, oh, sorry, there's like a hair floating. The biggest thing I noticed was that they would edit it to make it look completely out of context. Like it was like not at all what was happening. But the way they edited it would make it look like, oh, there's drama or there's some fucking, and I'm like, that's not at all how that happened. That's so weird. Like, and then it really kind of made me question like the way we're getting information from the news, how it's just completely tainted, with whatever
it's all CIA theater.
People wanted to think.
It's all theater.
It's all fear. And the thing is, like, I learned early on, I was like, everything that I've been told, you then hear the opposite 10 years later,
right.
Any of this. Like, the only thing that I can trust is my own intuition. And how does this feel? Like, you really have to just be like, how does this feel to me? And if it's like, it's a hell yeah, okay, good. That's the right path. But if it's like, you're getting bad feelings, no, that's the only way to test, the con thing or the, all these things that we're talking about. It's like, we can't trust anything out there. I don't believe. I mean, and that's what I was on Coast to Coast. People are like, why should I trust you? I'm like, you shouldn't. Please don't. Like, go have your own experience. I'm telling you about my personal experience and, my contact that I had with my mom. But that's like the best things people can do is to have their own experience. And, whether that's with, like Randy, I think it was Randy or one of your people talking about, the person that had passed to alcoholism, whether it's trying to communicate with someone who'd passed or to, communicate with a loved one or to do whatever your heart tells you to do, whether it's a life between lives regression or past life regression or whatever, it's like, that is I think that's the most important thing is just to follow your intuition and to not listen to any of the noise because it's all noise and it's crazy. And trying to find our way through it is really, it's challenging. And so I think, Larry, yay, we do it. All countries do that. You took the words. Yeah, it's true. All countries, we do that.
Yeah.
I'm glad it's funny and people are laughing because I know it's such a serious topic, and I'm glad
Yeah.
you two are both fun and
with the gun thing, like it's like this was in Behold a Pale Horse by Bill Cooper, who ended up being shot too. He was like the real Alex Jones, like where I think like Alex Jones is like a CIA informant that basically
Right.
makes the truth seem crazy. Like Bill Cooper wrote in Behold a Pale Horse, he wrote basically that they're gonna make guns readily available and then get everybody to get like crazy military grade guns. And then like all these tragedies gonna happen. They're gonna turn the public against them, where they're begging for people to get rid of guns. That's basically what's
Right,
happening.
right.
It
That's
seems-
kind of what I thought was happening, honestly. I thought people were being set up, or like these like shootings and shit where someone who was like brainwashed, like they were doing in the 60s when they were learning how to like
Manchurian
brainwash
Candidate,
people. Yeah, yeah.
Manchurian
I'm like, dude, it would be
Candidate.
so easy to brainwash someone and then trigger them with something. It would make them lose it. And it's like, oh, guns are bad. Like, I'm not saying guns are good or bad, but I don't know. They're definitely doing, I feel like they're definitely manipulating something.
Well, it's a globalist depopulation tactic, basically. They basically, in my opinion, are killing people, sterilizing people, and calling it a vaccine. And then, like, I think that's a global thing. And I don't want to go down that road if anybody disagrees. I'm not trying to argue or anything. But I'm just saying, like, I feel that way truly, or I wouldn't say it. And then I think they're trying to take away the guns, so we can't defend ourselves when this I mean, they have fighting age men going on the border all day. I mean, basically, there are sleeper cell military agents here. We have nukes aimed at us from space. We have EMPs aimed at us. We are not in a good situation. We're probably at I mean, I don't think a good situation, to be honest. And I think that like they're just pushing us to demand our own slavery, which is like insane. And you know,
Yeah.
we just repeat the media. Like nobody has original thoughts. Everybody just like repeats the media. There's like, well, I think this. There's like two media bubbles, and like one's against each other, and they both don't talk or get along, and they hate each other
Right.
for some reason. And basically, I mean, and then all the billionaires, if you search any billionaire's name and depopulation, they've all said this since at least the 90s or 70s or so, that they think the world's too overpopulated. Everybody's fucking dumb. They're so smart. We're so fucking stupid. They should kill us all, and like we shouldn't reproduce. I mean, and all the propaganda's like that too. Like, oh, don't reproduce. The world's too crazy. Oh, you don't want to reproduce your kid. I mean, all that. I mean, I don't have kids. I fell for it. You know what I mean? I fell for the anti.
Yeah. But what?
Sure. I fell for it too. But I mean, I will say though, it is hard enough just managing this life by myself on my own, like taking care of children like that. I have so much respect for people who do that, because it's like, how do you do that on top of everything else? But yeah, it's total propaganda.
Like I can barely take care of myself.
Exactly. That's hard enough.
Well, right. It's globalist propaganda.
No way.
It's globalist propaganda to make us all think everyone else is stupid. But like they brainwash us all, like, oh, everybody's so dumb and like all this, but everybody's like very unique and interesting and intelligent, and this is all a collab. Like the entire planet's a collaboration, and like I mean, just because somebody doesn't know the same thing as you, I mean that's why they're needed. Like even that's not why they're needed.
Or even just how they make neurodivergent kids feel stupid. Like I was always put in special ed and shit, and I was probably smarter than most of the people in my class, but I just learned differently. But because I had ADHD and like dyslexia, like I was labeled as being stupid, and I really thought for a long time that I was dumb and that there was like something wrong with me. But you know, something else that I started to really make sense and got a couple of like psychic downloads about was like that a lot of spiritual people are actually diagnosed with different mental health issues, and really what it is they're super sensitive, whether it's like clairaudient or clairsentient, where they're feeling or more like empathically feeling shit, and they don't know how to regulate it, so it comes off as like emotional imbalance. Or like if they're clairaudient and they're hearing spirits or whatever, it's like, oh my god, you're schizophrenic. Or like, and it's almost as if they know that, and they don't want like the star seeds to awaken everyone else. You know, it's like they're being pigeonholed into this like outsider, like black sheep role, where everyone just kind of is like, yeah, no, they're fucked up, or like labels them so that they never realize like how powerful they are, you know?
Totally. And that's like, those are the most powerful people. Those are the people
Oh
we
yeah.
hear from. You know, the people that have all the voice are saying the same thing on repeat 24/7. I don't want to hear that anymore. You know, I don't trust any of that propaganda. Like that's why I just make decisions with my intuition, because it is really like walking blind through like a forest. I feel like it's just like you don't know where you're going.
That's a great way to put it.
You can't see anything. You can't trust your senses. Everything's messed up. Everyone's trying to like shut you down and tell you you're stupid and tell you you don't fit in. But everyone feels like they don't fit in. I believe everyone feels that.
Yeah. No psychological projections. They feel that way. So they try to put it up on you.
Fit in, don't feel like they fit in. You know, so it's like
I don't want to fit in.
Who wants to fit in?
Yeah, our president can't form a fucking sentence right now. I don't want to fit in this world. This world is fucking retarded. I feel like I'm being pranked constantly. You know what I mean? Like the last thing I want to do is fit in. Like we have people. Okay, the school system, for example, we have people like following Bell systems, like to train them for factory jobs that aren't even there. And then they think memorization is intelligence. That's like the lowest form of intelligence ever.
It really
memorization
is.
and regurgitation is the lowest form of intelligence on the planet. And they reward these people. They reward them like, oh yeah, go sit in a cubicle. You're so fucking smart, dude. You're the smartest person in the fucking cubicle. You fucking idiot. No, it's like, you know what I mean? And no disrespect to anybody that has a job that to feed their family, that feed themselves. They're all playing this fucking game. I'm not downplaying your job. I'm just saying, like, if you don't hate it, then you're stupid. You know what I mean? If you don't hate this reality, you're fucking stupid.
You think this is real? No.
Yeah. But I'm just saying, like, they reward like mediocrity, and they reward less than mediocrity. And like I remember being like I remember being a kid and like what are you saying about the thing that like I didn't do homework. They're like, well, he just does whatever he wants. He must be stupid. I'm like, isn't that a form of intelligence? If I literally just do what I want all the time, isn't that freedom? Isn't that what you told me in first grade? That like you mean it's like it's about Americans. It's like you're free to do whatever you want. I don't have to like regurgitate your bullshit like half periodic tables you probably give me. You probably don't give me all the periodic tables. You probably don't give me all the information. You probably you know what I mean? You're probably robbing me of actual information and make me memorize like fucking like when fucking George Washington was fucking born or something.
Or algebra. Never used algebra again. How come they didn't teach me how to do my fucking taxes? I gotta learn algebra for like 4 years? Like, never used that. Right. Never fucking used that.
Yeah,
so dumb. Like, I'm like, I don't fucking get that.
They don't want competition. So they give you fake information and like half information and like all these things. And then, like, we're finding all these things are fake. Like, they found out Van Frank diary is fake because it was written in a ballpoint pen. The ballpoint pen wasn't developed until the 50s, like, until 1958. And the entire thing, like, was written in a pen that didn't exist in the 40s. And we're finding out all these different things. Like, we're finding out everything that we were told was a fucking lie. Excuse my language.
Yeah.
Was a complete lie. And basically, and we're slowly waking up. And we're just like, what's going on, man? And, like, it just doesn't make any sense, man. Like, the world's apparently ran by satanic pedophiles, and I'm the problem. I mean, it's just like it doesn't. You know, it doesn't.
And the best thing I think we can do is to question everything. You know what I mean? Like, really question like just because we accept so much of it, and it's like, you know, everyone is rewarded who doesn't question, who follows, you know, live their lives of quiet desperation. And you have to think like the people who lived amazing lives, in my mind, like someone like Dr. Emoto, okay? Like he lived an amazing life. Like he did something big. He was his whole life shunned by the whole, you know, scientific community and told that his work was like not real, or it was, you know, he was like an outsider. None of the people who are doing the really cool stuff get accepted. I mean, it just doesn't seem like they do.
It's just a fact of life.
Yeah.
Because if you're like everyone else, you're not going to have the brilliant idea.
Right. Exactly. And they can keep you under your thumb.
What I learned about the scientific community over a period of like time and stuff like that is basically like the difference between you and the scientific community is you admit you're an author trying to sell books. They don't admit that. They pretend to be like super geniuses, or like I'm a super genius and like I'm so smart. I went to college, you fucking idiot. And that's like their entire argument. That's like their entire argument. I had like when I first met Nikki, I had her on with a theoretical physicist and like quantum physics and stuff like that. And he seemed like such a fucking moron compared to a porn star, and it was weird to me. Like it was like culture shock almost, and I don't mean that in a mean way.
He was like super atheist and didn't believe that I could talk to ghosts and stuff. And I'm like, I respect your perception of reality. I'm like, I believe in science, but like you don't believe in a higher intelligence, you don't believe in aliens. I'm like, you're a scientist. The universe is infinite, and you're gonna tell me you don't think there's any other life other than us in this entire universe. Well, I mean, come on.
Here's the
mathematically speaking, that's not even like possible.
look, not to dog on atheists, but like if you're an atheist, just think about it. Your belief is that this earth experience is all there is. To me, that's the saddest thing I have ever heard.
It was so pessimistic what he was telling me. He's like, you just go into the earth and then that's it, and it lights out. I'm like, Jesus Christ, bro.
I just like laughed. I was like, this guy's fucking retarded. I just like completely left. Like I can't even be fake. You know what I mean? It's really hard for me to be fake. So, but I'm just saying like, but and I don't mean this in a derogatory way, but I mean like in American credentialism, a quantum physicist should be smarter than a porn star in like American credentialism. You mean like on paper. No offense. I'm just saying like, I just mean like the way the world is written. That's supposed to be true,
right.
But it's fucking not. I mean, and that's what's weird. You mean it's like so I'm wondering like it's like how many times did I fall for a guy putting on a white coat and just thinking he's smart, you know, as a doctor?
Right, because they just look the part. They just blindly believe whatever they told you. Yeah, exactly.
And the same thing I had Insane Clown Posse on with a theoretical physicist also, and Violent J from Insane Clown Posse was running circles around that guy like in a lecture. And I'm watching this. I'm watching this, and I'm like, these guys that aren't supposed to be. I mean, if you looked on paper, we're not supposed to be smart. I'm a comedian. You know, I'm not supposed to be smart. You know, I'm supposed to be some dumbass who fucking talks to drunk people. You know, like that's all I'm supposed to be. And these people, I'm listening to them, and they're not saying anything of substance. They're literally just fucking. They're literally, excuse my language again. I'm sorry. They're literally just saying that basically, They're like, I have a piece of paper that I went in debt to get, and I'm so special and smart. And if you don't have this piece of paper that I went into debt to get, you're not special and smart. And I'm like listening to this like American conference also. I'm like, is every field like that in America where it's all sales and it's all fake? But that's what it seems like to me. It's like everything just seems fake. And I'm like listening to these people, and I'm like, and they keep talking in circles. And like I got these guys I was trying to talk about time travel, these guys, and all they're talking about is their fevered egos. And I'm just like,
well, and I just don't have respect for people who can't like be open to other ideas. Like people who just
like the rigidity.
Or think that they know, like, oh, I have all the answers. But when you think that, you don't know anything.
Yeah.
Like, you don't know anything.
That's what that one scientist said. He was making it seem like he was so certain of what reality really was. And I'm like, dude, we only know like 1.1% of like what the fuck reality is. Like that's been proven. So to be delusional enough to even think, you know, in the slightest bit of what the fuck's going on, like, I'm like, I don't even know what the fuck's going on. Well, no fucking clue.
None of us do, you know, we're all trying to figure it out. But it's like, just because it's been confirmed by, you know, big science or whoever, like, okay, here's your paper. You're smart now. Go and repeat this to everyone. And it's like, okay, all I hear is skepticism. I'm sorry. It's like everyone's just skeptical about everything that's probably a good idea. You know, it's like, I want to hear the good ideas. I want to hear the things that no one believes yet. I want to hear the things that are really out there, because that's what we're going to progress, you know, in the world. It's not by following rules.
Right.
Yeah. No, you're right. And like these people are just like ludicrous. It's like and to add to it, like they don't just get a piece of paper. They pay $200,000 for a piece of paper. I mean, like they go into fucking debt for a PhD. It is so expensive to get a PhD, and like most people don't have the money to get it. I mean, some people will, I guess, pay it off along their way and stuff, but it's a small minority. It's another debt system to basically make you obedient to like money, the monetary system. And like it's just like this weird thing. Like it's like the more obedient you are, the more you're rewarded, because it's easy. And like they think obedience is a virtue. It's like insane to me. It's like, okay, well, I repeated propaganda back to you, so I'm brilliant. And it's just like, I don't know. It's like
exactly. It's like, what? This is who we value? No, I mean, it's the people who aren't getting heard that need to be heard. It's the people out there saying these things that are crazy, that are labeled crazy. You know,
right.
Out there
being gaslit, basically.
By the one corporation that owns everything, and the media included. You know, I mean, that's who they're the enemy of. They're not the enemy of the people. They're the enemy of the one corporation that owns everything. It's like silent corporation that owns everything. It's like a weird web of corporations that own everything, but it's down to like one company basically now at this point.
Buddy.
Yeah, and it just makes no sense to me. It's like completely ludicrous, and like no one knows anything. I think it's the best way to say it. Like no one knows anything, and I think like everything's subjective. You know, most things are subjective at least.
Well, and like all the conspiracy rabbit holes to me are positive, because they're ideas, they're new thoughts. They're like, we're going to this or maybe this. Like, I think that's a good thing to think about, because we're
totally.
of our reality. We're not just on repeat. And I mean, that's why, I mean, it's important. I think you guys are doing. You're
I'm
here.
not just going to repeat what Bill Gates. I'm not just going to have conversations and like the 5 talking points Bill Gates wants me to have. You know, it's like it's just like ludicrous. And I feel like the president's like the emperor wears no clothes. Like when people like or watch this guy talk, I'm just like, or try to talk or attempt to talk. It's just like, it's ludicrous to me. I don't understand it. I don't understand how anyone could take anything that's happening seriously right now. Like, I really can't.
Oh man. Yeah, it's kind of like watching one big reality TV show.
Yeah, it's like the emperor has no clothes. Like nobody's willing to tell him he has no clothes. It's like, and they think people with autism are geniuses. It makes no sense to me. I'm just like, what is going on right now? You know?
My mom says it is one big reality show, and she's like, every single soul in the afterlife is tuned in on a minute by minute basis to be like, what's going on Earth? Like this is, it's like the Navy SEALs went in and are here on Earth, figuring stuff out. And, I just think it's kind of cool that they're wanting to they're watching us and they're wanting to help and wanting to intervene. And it's, that's what we're dealing with here. It's a situation.
There's definitely been a lot more, like, just with the ascension over, let's see, the past like year or two. There's been so much, like the veil has definitely gotten so much thinner, and like I've been feeling it, especially with, I don't know if you felt the solar flares like maybe this past week or two. Oh my God, it's like it drains my energy, because I can feel my like energy centers like upgrading, and it's like I feel like a computer that has to like reboot and like charge after like having an upgrade so dramatically. But I've been feeling like the presence of a lot more just celestial beings, and also especially after the year of the dragon, like that whole weekend I was working at have you ever heard of the Conscious Life Expo?
Yeah.
Okay, so I was working the Conscious Life Expo for like 4 or 5 days, because I got there like a day early to help my teacher like set up his booth. Okay. I worked a lot, but basically
who's your teacher?
During that, Matthew John, he's an astrologer.
Okay, cool.
And like a witch wizard, and he does like ascension classes and spiritual retreats. But yeah, so I was helping him at his booth, and I didn't even know it was the year of the dragon, and I kept seeing, like, I don't know how to explain it. Like I was feeling the presence of one of my guides, which is a dragon, but then I kept seeing things that reminded me of a dragon, even if it wasn't a dragon. And then I ended up buying this necklace. I'm not wearing it. I don't know why I grabbed this necklace, because that's nothing. Oh my God. But it was like a labradorite and like I don't know, like a fucking Lemurian quartz. And then when you turn it to the side, it like the texture surrounding the labradorite looked like dragon skin, and I didn't even really notice it until I was wearing it. Someone was like, that kind of looks like a dragon eye. And I was like, oh my God, like this is just so, like when the synchronicities just keep it, and you're like, this is what the fuck's going on. And then my friend's like, oh yeah, it's the Chinese New Year. Like we're in the year of the dragon, and like the draconian, like dragon celestial beings from Draco, the star system, are like, I can just feel the energy. I don't know how to explain it, but it was weird to find out that it was the year of the dragon, because I had no idea.
I have to say this to you, Nikki. You have to. I've been thinking this. You need to read this book, Soul Family. This is one of my books. Or you don't have to read it. None of my books are meant to be like read left to right. They're just meant to be opened, and you'll get to the right part of it.
Oh, like, okay. Yeah.
Anyway, there's a quiz that goes along with this. It's like findmysoultribe.com. Anyway, there are different soul tribes, and one's universe of dragons. And one is I'm blanking on them now, but like the dolphins, the cetaceans, and there's different groups. But when you talk about the dragons, they're one of the most ancient soul lineages. Okay.
Really?
So the point is that you are connected to primarily two lineages when you come in, and the
Okay.
test can help you figure out which one. And it talks about each of the different, like the Syrians, the Andromedans,
Yeah.
all the different lineages, and then it goes even further out. When it just everything that you're saying, it sounds like it would be up your alley, you know?
Yeah. No, that makes total. When I was doing the starseed past life regression, I wrote out, because when I first started having a spiritual awakening, like what I learned about star seeds, and I was like reading up on all the different kinds, like there was a lot that I felt I resonated with. So I was just writing them down, and over the past 2 years, like I could kind of narrow down which ones I knew for sure were like something I was connected to. And it was like a really long list. And I was like, because most people I talked to would be like, yeah, like I connect with like a couple or whatever. And I'm like, dude, there's like 10 fucking names on this list. And it's like, and my teacher was like, oh, like you were a traveler. So like you traveled to all these different like planets. But I do really feel connected to dragons, and fairies and mermaids. Like definitely all the mystical ones, but there's a bunch of other ones. But that's really, so what's it called again? It's called Soul Family.
Soul Family, yeah. And it talks about there's the mer people, the mermaids,
Okay.
and there's a free quiz that you take that you can just,
Oh, and then it helps you figure it out.
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. Definitely
I think
my
it'd be,
shit.
I mean, I just think it's fun, and I think it's it's something that seems so out there, but at the same time, it's like my soul knows it's real. It's
Yeah.
like my soul is like, yes, dragons, yes, they are full on real. And so it's, I think they must exist in the afterlife, or, we remember
I think
them.
it's just I think there's a lot of lineages that are actually just in higher dimensions that we can't perceive in the third dimension. But like maybe at one point they were third dimensional and they ascended like hundreds of thousands of years ago.
Right.
And that's why there's probably no like remains or anything that like there's no like real proof. But like there's a lot of beings, especially dragons, where they're depicted in all over different places,
Right.
like around the world. So I don't know.
Well, and then there's theories that there have been world destructions, like Earth destruction. So there have been beings like that who lived here, and then the Earth was destroyed by whatever, fire, water, asteroid.
Okay. Yeah.
Then we started off again, so we don't have the technical proof.
It's
Who
wild.
knows? Yeah. Who knows if it's true? Well, like truth anyway. What is truth? It's a perspective. It's not anything anyone can tell us.
Right. Well, I think in everybody's own way, like their own truth is true. It's like our reality is a combination of everyone's truth combined into
Absolutely.
one thing. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Which can be a little frustrating when they're not as evolved as you two. And it's like, oh, great, we have a collective. Yay.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we should get out of here before it gets too long, or I'll talk for 9 more hours. I love the conversation. You're obviously welcome back. Like, great.
Yeah,
honestly.
definitely come back. Is there anything you want to plug before we wrap up?
No, I just love chatting, and I really appreciate you guys having me on your show. And I feel like I'm just an explorer. I'm trying to figure things out just like you, and I'm writing them down in books, the things that I figure out, okay, here's a book, I figured that out. Here's a book, I figured that out. But I definitely don't have all the answers. I'm just, on this journey like everyone else. And so, but I do love helping people, and I am a life coach. So, you can find that on my website. So
Nice. Oh yeah.
Website's on the screen. Also, if you're listening to this later, it's also in the description. 4authenticity.com, the number 4. Do you also do audiobooks for like stupid people like myself, where I could like work out and listen to them?
You are like the third person who's asked me in this week. Have you done audiobooks?
That's so funny.
I wanted to do them, like reading them myself, but
You should. You have a good voice. You should.
except that I need a studio and specific equipment, and it has to be. No, you don't think?
On
No,
your
dude.
phone. I don't know.
I mean, honestly, they say that you could buy. Okay, I'm weird because I'm like a minimalist, so don't take this exactly, but do it your own way, obviously. And
Okay.
I think we just dropped. Someone just told me we dropped on Facebook. Sorry. So I think you should get a gaming headset for like $15, and it'll have better quality than like a $400 microphone or like $1,000 microphone.
That's
I
smart,
think
actually.
gaming headsets are pretty cool. And then do you have a MacBook or anything or anything like that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so use GarageBand or something, and just basically record it, and then like get it to the audio file you need it to be in, and then upload it to like whatever, distribute it on like Spotify and whatever else you can distribute it to, and then like that's what I would do, and then like
That's
but
smart.
I'm not smart enough to write a book, but I do listen to audiobooks and stuff, and I do understand distribution, but that's what I would do if I was you. I mean, you have a good voice. I mean, I would just definitely use your voice to read it, and people that connect with you would want to hear your voice anyway. So it's all just.
That's a great idea. Thank you.
No
Your voice might also be activating too.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? It might actually activate people coming from you specifically.
That's a great point. Well, and I mean, that's what like my books are. They really are a vibration, they're a vibration that's grounded in this reality. And so you can hold the book and receive that vibration. Some people are like, I just like,
like the emerald tablets are like that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
See, you're speaking my language.
I'm going down all the rabbit holes. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. This was a really good episode.
Thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you everybody for listening and watching at home. I appreciate you guys spending your Wednesday evening watching this and listening to this. And if you're listening later, I appreciate you a little bit less than people who watch live, But thank you all. God bless you. All your dreams come true. I'm gonna get out of here. Bye.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.